now, Dennis Quaid. Dennis, you got any spare white strips? You can't find anything anymore, man.
Don't accuse me of 40.
Where the hell are you? Are you in San Antonio?
No, I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Now you're on
a
Now you're on a speakerphone. Can you? I don't know if you can pick it up. I know you have probably people listening to make sure I don't ask you any stupid questions, but that's why this was what this show is all about, man.
No, they're listening to make sure I don't say something stupid.
Dennis, we were talking about it. It's great to have you on, and obviously the list of movies and TV shows, and obviously the insurance commercials. We were talking about the younger generations because you're in incredible physical condition. You work out, and now you're doing something that I think is revolutionary. And I don't know why I didn't think of it. Doing a podcast on cassettes. I was wondering because they're coming back. Vinyl's back. 8-tracks are back. Everything retro is back, but you're taking it to the next level. You're going to bring cassettes and Walkmen back in business. Do you have stock in Sony? Are they going to start reissuing Walkmans?
It's that singular cassette sound that really attracted me to it. And that was we were doing that as a spoof. It was supposed to be an April Fool's Day joke that we were going to spring on people on the Ellen show, but we made a infomercial out of it, and it doesn't seem like such a bad idea right now to really do it for real.
Yeah, because I'm sure you've done it because we're in the same age group. You get the pencil in that cassette when it gets stuck, and you try to rewind it so you don't break it in that white tape at the beginning of it. And then if you snap it, it's impossible to put back together, and you get Scotch tape, and then you have to trim it on both sides, and it's virtually impossible.
I know. Do you remember the experience of the first time that you actually put on those phones with a Walkman?
Absolutely.
And how revolutionary that was?
Absolutely. It was life-changing. You know how many chicks I got with the Walkman? And then the Discman. If you were able to whip out a Discman and not have it skip on you while you were jogging, that was unbelievable.
That was a little tough, especially when you were jogging.
So, Dennis, the list of movies, Robin and I watched the dog movies, and we cried like babies. You did a couple of those, and they're tremendous. Of all the movies, you played 2 presidents. The one that hasn't been released yet is the one on Ronald Reagan. And then, of course, you played Bill Clinton. And so of all the movies you've done in your career, is there one that you think is your best movie or your favorite movie or one that doesn't get enough credit and you thought you were better in it than people give you credit for?
Well, I judged my films myself on the experience that I had making them. And so, hands down, it's always been The Right Stuff has been my favorite movie because I wanted to be an astronaut. I grew up in Houston, and when I was a kid, that's what you wanted to see. And when the movie came out, when they were casting the movie, I wanted to play Gordo Cooper because he was my favorite astronaut from that time. And turned out he lived 3 miles from me here in L.A. We became good friends. He sent me over to Van Nuys Airport, and I got my pilot's license from that film. Chuck Yeager was on the set every day. It was just like living a dream, a make-believe dream out in real life. And so it still, to this day, remains my favorite movie.
Now, the dog movies are interesting because obviously you had, there were a bunch of different dogs, and I don't want to give away the plot, but the dogs die, and then they come back as another dog, and you're always there with them. But you used real dogs because I guess the last movie that What's-His-Face made...
you just gave away the plot.
I know, but I don't want to say... I don't say what breeds are. I'm going to say a dog dies, and then that's not a dog's journey. That's the first one is a dog's life, right?
A dog's purpose, and then a dog's journey was the second one.
Exactly. I don't like to do dead dog stories because Casey Kasem, you remember, blew up when somebody gave him a dead dog dedication coming out of an up-tempo number back in the day on America's Top 40, if you remember, I'm sure.
Yeah. But we're going to do a third one, by the way, that takes place in doggy heaven.
Oh, really? Now, what's that called?
Yeah. I'm not sure. It's called The Dog Something.
A dog something? How about Dog Day Afternoon, and then the dog go into a bank with you, and then you get Pacino to come in, and then you go in there with all these dogs, and then you rush the joint, and you get out with masks on because it's the coronavirus, and then you go in and nobody knows who you are, and you get out with all the dogs while women and children and all the tellers are playing with the dogs, and you get out with $1 billion. How about that plot?
Well, fantastic. The dog's name is Attica. Attica.
You're out of order. Dennis Quaid joining us as we have fun. Now, Dennis, you know, people talking your brother Randy, and obviously he's done a lot of weird stuff too. Do you guys have a relationship? Because people wonder about that stuff.
Well, these days we don't have a relationship. No, we don't. I haven't talked to Randy in years, actually. And he doesn't like for me to speak for him in public. So I'm going to let him have that. All I can tell you is that I love my brother from afar.
All right, I was just curious because people, you know, they always, because obviously, you know, he's done the Christmas movie. I mean, the part that he played in the vacation movies is legendary.
No, he's fantastic at that.
Yeah.
Randy is one of my 5 favorite actors.
And Kingpin. And don't forget Kingpin.
But Cousin Eddie is one of the great comic characters of all time.
Now, the question, of course, is with the podcast, because you're really doing a real podcast. You're not doing it on cassettes. And we called the number, and obviously we got your voicemail, and we did text you, but you did not text us back. So that number is down.
It was my birthday, too. You know, you can't return all those birthday texts. There's too many of them.
I was hoping to leave a voicemail. Actually, we did it as a bit, pretending that we were calling you to make sure you were going to be there for the appearance on the show. And we really appreciate it. Now, The Parent Trap. I mean, we're going old school. Was your first movie The Parent Trap?
No, it was Birth of a Nation, man. What do you think?
The original Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, right. No, I started back in the mid-'70s. My first movie was 9/30/55, like the date. That was the name of it. But the movie that was known, I guess, was Breaking Away.
Breaking Away,
kind of breakout film, yeah.
Now, did you really have to ride bikes, or there wasn't a lot of CGI back then, right?
Well, people, it's not a great skill riding a bicycle, but you know that was mostly on Dennis Christopher too. And I'm a very avid cyclist now, road bike. Actually, within the last 10 years, I was a runner, and I've turned into a cyclist. I'm one of those guys that's wearing that crazy colored Lycra when you go by that you laugh at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get annoyed with that they're on the road.
I know. I lived in L.A. for 11 years, and I would go down to the Playa Vista ramp there, you know, where the UCLA rowers go out. And those are the guys that go by there all the time when they're going around from Playa Vista all the way around into the other part of the Venice and Marina del Rey.
On the jetty that they had out there.
Yep.
Now, can you stop? Can you stop at an intersection and not have to uncleat your feet? Can you do that thing with the front wheel to keep the bike up?
Yes, I learned the hard way how to do that.
Now, are you allowed to ride your bike in L.A. right now? I know social distancing is big everywhere, and everybody wants to do it. But if you're riding a bike, is that against the law out there? Will the Mayor Garcetti come out and send a drone after you? How's that work?
No, I think you can still ride your bike. I mean, just like you can drive your car. We're subject to all the rules of the road like everybody else. So.
We're talking with the great Dennis Quaid. Now, the podcast is for real. It's not on cassette.
Dennis-sance.
Not on D.
Right.
Dennis-sance. I love the name. 2 N's and 2 S's. So when did you start doing these? Because obviously you're talking to all the celebs. They're already out there with a company called Audio Up. So how do we get it?
Right. Any place that you can get podcasts. See podcast, or hit that podcast icon on your smartphone. Wherever it is, you can find us, or you can go to audioup.com. You can find us that way. But we're everywhere. And the Renaissance is part of a slate of shows that we have a podcast platform, which is Audio Up. And it's called the Renaissance because my career in life has kind of like in the last few years have kind of taken on a whole new thing, to tell you the truth. I'd never listened to a podcast up until about 2 years ago, but I did this podcast with my now partner, Jared Gutstadt, called Bear and a Banjo. Last year, we had the #2 music podcast that we did along with Bob Dylan and T-Bone Burnett and Pooh Bear. It was a fictional, true story of history of American music told through these two characters. And it was so much fun to do. And we decided to just form our own platform and work like a studio. Like we have a slate of shows that are coming out across all genres.
And Billy Ray Cyrus, right? Billy Ray Cyrus is the first guest, and he doesn't even look like Billy Ray Cyrus anymore. I don't recognize him.
Yeah. Well, the Renaissance is. Look, as an actor, I've met so many interesting people, and I've played real people in life, and I've had the good fortune to be able to meet them, like Jimmy Morris in The Rookie, the real Rookie. You know, it was his real story, or Gordo Cooper in The Right Stuff, and. So, and with that, I've done research into to really get to know somebody and figure out what makes them tick, and find out about them so I can portray them. And so I'm taking that same process and I brought it to the interview process with people that I already have somewhat of a relationship with, like Billy Ray Cyrus, like Billy Bush, who was going to be on, John Carter Cash, and Jimmy Morris. I just did yesterday, in fact, and. That's what it's about, and you can hopefully, it's with people who have nothing to sell, like I do right now on your show. And,
wait, I can't buy an insurance policy? Wait a minute.
Something new about them.
I can't buy an insurance policy for you at a discounted price in these tough times?
I'm afraid I have to be in the same line that you are when it comes to that.
Now, I got to ask you, in the movie The Rookie, how fast? Because we saw, out there in the street and the road, and you have the radar gun. How fast could you really throw the ball when you were portraying Jim in that movie?
Well, Jimmy and I were just talking about this yesterday. In fact, I on purpose did not put myself on a radar gun for the whole movie. What I did have is 6 months to prepare for it, and Jim Gott of the L.A. Dodgers would come to my house in my front yard. And we walk out, and I pitch every other day. And then once a week, I got to go down to Dodger Stadium and pitch in an empty stadium on that mound. And that was really a magical experience. And but I never put myself on a radar gun because I didn't want to be embarrassed. I just wanted to look like I could throw that hard. But Jimmy told me that even today, at 50-something, he can bring it in at 88 miles an hour, 88 to 90.
So you don't even have an estimation of, because, guys who do it at these ballparks, when we had ballparks, go up there and you throw the ball, and, I'm going to go out there and throw it 80 miles an hour, and it's like 45, because guys think they're, macho men. Right. Do you have any idea how fast you were throwing? Do you think you were throwing in the 70s, 80s? What do you think?
I'd like to think that I at least made it into the 70s.
He's got his own band, Tony.
I know. He does everything.
He plays guitar in this band, The Sharks. Now, do you write your own music too, Dennis, or is it mostly covers?
Yeah. No, I've been a songwriter all my life. Really, since I first picked up a guitar, which was at the age of 12, I realized I was never going to be able to shred a guitar. Really, really play lead. So, songwriting was kind of my defense that I would bring to the situation. I'm a rhythm player, and songwriting has just been a part of my life, like breathing, since I was a kid.
Dennis Quaid, ladies and gentlemen, doing the rounds today, and we really appreciate his time. Good stuff. Always great to talk to you. Love your work. I mean, the absolute resume is just incomparable. And I've been around since the 70s, too, but I don't have the resume you do, pal, and it's great to talk to you. We really appreciate you coming on the show. The Denissance is the podcast. Go get it wherever podcasts are, sort of like this one. But we're live, too, on Sirius XM 211, and we thank Dennis Quaid for joining us. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, I really appreciate it, guys.